Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
All right. This is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I am here with Jazzy Joel.
Hey guys, what's up?
Get the jazz hands out.
Oh, they are out, for sure.
All right. So today we're gonna talk about a 2021 movie just came out called The Power.
Power.
Yes, from Shudder. This one is, I believe we said, a Shudder exclusive. Is that right?
Yes, it is a Shudder. Okay. Yeah, Shudder exclusive.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, go on Shudder, check it out if you feel the need after listening to us, or not if you think what we say is stupid. So, there you go.
We never say anything stupid. What are you talking
about? Because I think we're both gonna enjoy this one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so.
All right, cool. Okay, who's in this one?
So this one stars Rose Williams. She plays Val. She was in a show called Rain. She was in 50 episodes of that. She was in a Seth Green movie called Changeland, which I think he also directed. And she's in a movie that's in post-production right now called Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
Oh, yeah.
It rhymes. That's pretty cool. And this one also stars Emma Rigby. She plays Babs, her nursing school friend who she ends up working with in this movie. And she's in Hollyoaks. She was in 196 episodes of that, so it lasted quite a few years.
Okay.
The Counselor and A Cinderella Christmas.
Yes.
Cute little Hallmark movie there. And also, now this is going to be a little difficult to pronounce, but Gbemesola Ekumelo.
All right.
Sorry if I butchered that name. She plays Comfort, and she was in Cocktail in 2012. Not the Tom Cruise Cocktail, but apparently they redid it. I didn't even realize that from like 9 years ago. The Last Tree, and a show called Famalam, which she was in 13 episodes of.
Famalam,
yeah. I have no idea about that one. But this was written and directed by Corinna Faith. She wrote Ashes, a 2005 movie, an episode of a show called Coming Up, and an episode of The Innocents, which I've actually heard of. I never watched it, but I've heard of it.
Okay.
And she also directed Ashes and a nature documentary that she directed 2 episodes of called Nature. Very original title there.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 episode of Coming Up. Probably the same one that she wrote.
All right.
Most likely.
Cool. So this one is about, in 1973, a young nurse is forced to work the night shift in a crumbling hospital as striking miners switch off the power across Britain. But inside the walls lurks a terrifying presence, that threatens to consume her and everyone around her.
Oh man, so intense.
Okay, so did you happen to watch the trailer for this?
I did not. I was able to. I usually do like watching the trailers for movies, but for this, I just decided not to. I think I just forgot about it. But yeah, I did not watch the trailer, so I went into this not knowing anything about this movie.
All
I
right.
didn't even know the power meant a power outage. Like that's what the power is about.
But does it?
So, okay, yeah, that's you're getting a little ahead of ourselves there. That's what the power for the majority of the movie is about. Until it's
what do they call those? A double
entendre?
entendre? A double entendre.
Yeah, double entendre. Yes.
There you go. So I did watch the trailer. So I knew a little bit, kind of, what to expect.
Yeah.
But it definitely went deeper than I thought it was gonna. So.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to refrain from spoilers for the first part of this review. So we'll talk about our positives and negatives in a more general sense, give our score, and then talk about some of the spoiler stuff. And we will warn before going there. So.
Yes.
All right, Joel. Positives, go.
All right. So I have to just first off say that I am predicting that by the end of the year, when we do our top 10 of 2021, this will at least be an honorable mention.
Oh, wow. All right. That's a big statement
right now.
there. Okay.
Yes. I am predicting that in April. I know we've got a lot of horror movies coming out this year.
Yeah.
But I really like this movie. Like, a lot.
Okay.
And
awesome.
That is a prediction of mine.
Well, if that doesn't get you to watch it, then I don't know what will.
I hope, yes. I hope that will be an enticement for you guys to watch this movie, because I absolutely loved it. I know it's a Shudder exclusive, but I don't know exactly who produced this movie.
Yeah.
But for a Shudder movie especially, this had some really good acting.
Oh, yeah.
In it. And I do like the Shudder movies, but, some of them, the acting's a little questionable in those movies. But the acting in this was really good. The story was really good. A lot deeper than I thought it was going to go. And I love the sound and the music placement in this movie as well.
Yeah.
I love the little whispering going on throughout the movie. And yeah, it's just, I just thoroughly enjoyed this movie a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I mean, the acting, the lead actress, the amount of like physical acting that she has to do is pretty incredible. It does have it's definitely a horror film. It does have its, scary parts, and there's a couple of jump scares, I would say. But a lot of it is atmosphere, with the hospital being, out of power, except for like they have a generator going. So some scenes have some light, but
for the most part, it's a pretty dark movie.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. One of which being the lighting.
Yes, literal dark.
Yeah, literal dark.
I think it is kind of a slower movie, but like in a good way. It really, the wait is worth it. As the story starts to unfold, you start to, I really started to enjoy this movie more and more as it progressed.
Yeah, I did too. It was a little slow getting to where it was going, but once it got there, it sped up and didn't it didn't let go until the very end. Yeah. So
it goes all the way to the very last scene. So
yeah.
I really liked the score. like you were saying, the sounds and the music placement was just great. Some of the camera work was really good. I've never seen a movie like this, really. I mean, yes, I've seen movies where, you know, a character is at an abandoned place and it's dark and, you know, there's spirits or whatever. But not like this in the sense of the story and the, you know, it takes place in Britain. It takes place, it's like a time piece, a period piece to a certain extent.
Yeah. It's the 70s, so yeah, it can count.
Yeah.
As a period piece.
Yeah. And it's a period piece in the sense of the, you know, how they look and kind of how they're dressed and, you know.
It didn't even need to take place in the set. Is this like a real thing that happened in like 1973? Because nothing about this needed to take place in 1973.
Well, I do think some of the content needed to take place in the 70s. Which, you know, that's more of in a spoiler sense.
Yeah.
I think some of the content did, you know, make more sense for the 70s. And some might say for today, too. I don't know. But, so yeah. And just the overall message of the movie and what it's really about was awesome. Really good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. It is a very enjoyable movie, for sure.
All right. Do you have any negatives?
So I have one negative thing to say, and it's not even a negative for me. It's a negative for people that might be going into this movie, not knowing really what to expect. And it's something that you just mentioned, which was the pacing. The movie doesn't really get going until about 50 minutes into it, which is when, you know, everything starts happening. To some people that might be a little slow.
Yeah.
Slow build up. I enjoyed it because that's more time that we get to spend with the characters before everything starts happening to the main character and everything. Then there's some creepy stuff that happens before that too. But for the most part, like the big things that happen don't happen until almost an hour into an hour and a half movie.
Yeah.
So for that, I would say the pacing just up until that point for certain people watching this movie might not enjoy that too much.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it wasn't a negative for me though, personally. I don't really have any negatives for this movie. There was one character I didn't really like too much, but he wasn't around for very long in the movie, which was that guy that was like locking up the hospital with all the keys. I forgot what his name was.
Neville.
Yeah, something like that.
Neville.
Yeah, I think it's Nev, what they were calling him. I didn't like that character.
Yeah.
But other than that, like everything else was great for me.
Okay. So for me, now I watched this movie during the daytime, and that was kind of difficult. With
as far as seeing,
with how dark the movie is, it's a little like I was watching it on my TV, and then I had to watch it on my phone because I needed to be able to make sure there was no like glare or anything like that, so I could actually see some of the stuff. There was like a jump scare that I completely missed watching it on the TV, so then I was like, I'm gonna put this on my phone. That jump scare with Nev was actually kind of a negative for me too. It was just like that was part of the reason I didn't like the character. It's just like that guy was just unnecessary in the first place. I mean, he kind of brings something to the table as far as like the culture of the hospital, but he didn't need to be. And yeah, we'll get into that later. But so it was dark, and I know that that's like the point, but I would say that if you're gonna watch this movie, try to watch it at night. You'll get a much better experience, I think, watching it at night.
And watching horror movies at night just makes more sense anyway.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
And
Especially
then
for a movie that's literally dark. So.
yeah, it's pretty dark. And then this isn't really a negative that the movie could really change. But for me, sometimes accents just make it hard to follow. So,
yeah.
like, not so much hard to follow, but hard to understand. So I'm missing some of the dialogue. So I put the subtitles on. Yeah. I ended up doing that about 30 minutes into it because I was like, especially when Nev showed up, I had a hard time following what he was saying. So yeah,
his accent was pretty thick.
Yeah. So I did need that in order to kind of know what was happening. So, but again, that's not a negative that they could really change. It's just, where the movie took place, the actors, and, so I don't want to knock it for that, but just forewarn the listeners here, if you aren't great with accents, you might want to put those subtitles on to really experience it. And sometimes subtitles can take away from an experience because I find myself kind of get caught up in trying to read it rather than just watching the movie.
Actually watching the movie.
Yeah. So
I've always preferred to have subtitles because I can hear it. It's just fine. I can still like watch the movie and hear it. But it's just a way of really understanding what it is that they're saying. If I did miss something with my hearing.
Yeah.
If you're not used to it, I'm used to it by now. So if you're not used to it, it can get a little distracting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I might just make that a common practice in my household.
Have subtitles on.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, that's really the only negatives I have. Just the darkness and the need for subtitles for me. So, all right. So we're trying to be a little vague. I think we're doing a pretty good job at being vague. Gotta say.
Yeah, this whole part's going by pretty quick.
So, we're going to give our rating, but go watch this movie. We're both going to give it pretty good ratings, I imagine. And then come back and you can kind of engage in the deeper conversation that we're going to have and see if you agree with our assessment. But go ahead, Joel. What do you grade this?
So I'm going to give this one... I was racking my brain trying to figure out a rating for this. Because I have noticed in the past that I've been giving a lot of movies like pretty high grades.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to not do that, but with this one I may have to again. I'm gonna give this one a 91.
Oh man! All right, yeah. See, that's the thing. We've been we went through the whole Nightmare on Elm Street series.
Yeah, we gave all of those, most of them pretty high grades, I think. And it kind of takes
70s.
away from the really good movie
when
you give everything a high grade.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really enjoyed this movie a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I am with you. I was like, man, I try to compare my grades to the last movies or movies in the past that I've graded in that same vein. Like,
we need to start writing this stuff down, like what we've been giving grades to.
Yeah. So kind of my grading, I try to go like, if it's average, I'll go in the 70s. If it's a little above average, then I'll put it in the higher 70s. Now this one is above average. So I'm gonna put this one in the 80s. So I'm gonna go 83.
83. Okay.
Yeah.
I was actually leaning earlier towards like 87, but I was like, I have one negative thing to say about this movie, and it wasn't even a negative for me.
Yeah.
So it's like, true. I can't really give it lower than an A because it really deserves an A. Yeah.
Well, it's a very, very well made, and definitely the meaning behind it and the like kind of twist to it is If it wasn't for that, I'd probably be in the upper 70s, but the twist gave me put it in the 80s for me. So
yeah, if it was just a straightforward, like, I don't even want to say, if it was just straightforward, then yeah, it would definitely be lower than what I gave it for sure. Yeah. Acting would still be great, but you know, the story would still be good, not great, but good. If it was straightforward. But yeah, I mean, it's not a straightforward movie.
Yeah,
there's definitely some things in this movie that that put it above and beyond.
Above and beyond.
Infinity type of
and beyond.
And beyond, yes. So I had to give it an A.
Okay. All right.
It's on the lower part of the A's, but it's still an A.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's start talking about those things that put it into the A category for you. So this is the spoiler section.
It is. Yes. So if you haven't watched it, and I would highly recommend watching it, click off and then come back, hopefully, and finish this up with us.
Right. Okay. So this movie is, I imagine, inspired a little by the Me Too movement.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I mean,
for sure.
Well, the Me Too, and then because it's kids that this is happening to. It's about cover-ups.
Like, it's, you know, it's... Yeah, I can say I would say Me Too is definitely part of it. It's not in your face about it, where it's just annoying.
Right.
It's the perfect amount, really.
Yeah.
For this type of a movie.
Yeah, if you're inspired by that movement and you want to make a movie to address that, this is the perfect way to do it. Mm-hmm. I 100% would recommend this to anybody who wants to watch a movie with that type of influence, like for sure.
Black Christmas remake?
Yeah, no.
The 2019 version.
Yeah, that's so the opposite of what you should do.
Complete opposite.
Okay, so what did you like about this story and kind of where they went with it?
So, having really no knowledge whatsoever about this movie, what was going on, like what we were saying before, the double entendre being the power. Mm-hmm. First of all, for like the first probably hour of this movie, the power stood for just a power outage. Like, you know, the power was out in this hospital, and you know, that's what the movie was about. But it digs deeper into that. You find out about her past, which I'm glad that we did. We found out about what happened to her as a child, what she had to cover up,
right,
and what she had to lie about, what she was forced to lie about, which turned out to be a pretty huge part of this movie.
Yep.
And the fact that there was a scene. This is also a ghost story, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I didn't want to. That's the thing I was trying not to say in the first part, because I didn't watch the preview, so I don't know if they made that clear in the preview that this was a ghost story. So I didn't want to just come out and say that this was a ghost story.
Yeah.
But ghost story is just a very small part of what this movie actually was.
Mm-hmm.
When she was talking to the little girl, her name's Saba, I think, how she was saying that she's a bad person and that she deserves to be possessed. She deserves this to happen to her.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you find out that, like, what actually happened to her. Because before that, you don't know what happened to her. Like, you think maybe she did something and, you know, maybe she actually is a bad person.
Right.
But what it is that she's saying she's a bad person about was the fact that she was raped as a little girl and she was forced to cover it up. And she had to live with that guilt of having to cover it up for so long that inside she was feeling like a bad person because she didn't tell anybody about it, and probably other people were raped because of it. Well,
and she can also feel like a bad person because it can get to the point where you start believing that you were wrong to even say anything in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they, you know, the people trying to cover this up say it enough to you that, you know, you shouldn't have done that, that was wrong, this isn't what really happened, you're lying, then maybe you can start to believe that yourself and think, man, why did I say... Because she did say something initially. She did say something, and then she took it back because she said she lied.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
So she could feel like a bad person for saying anything in the first place if she then is convinced that she shouldn't have, you know?
Yeah.
So that could also be why she feels like, or she felt like a bad person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And why this is relevant, because this sounds kind of like out of left field here for a ghost story, is it happened in this hospital. Not that, but the spirit of a girl that went quote unquote missing, Gail, was also raped by one of the doctors, and it was covered up by pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
And she comes back. So the thing that I don't understand, I get why she came back, and she possessed Val, but why was she like? Because she had her like stab herself in the leg with a pair of scissors, like. She wasn't trying to attack her. She was trying to attack other people through her.
Yeah.
But why did she hurt Val in the process of doing that? It
Yeah,
just didn't seem like something that, like, made much sense to me. I don't know.
That's a good point. And, you know, it definitely added to the creepiness of the movie, you know, because that happens before you really know what's going on.
Yeah,
and so that added to the... like, whoa, what is happening, you know?
Yeah. But once you find out what's going on, it just kind of, I don't know, makes that scene seem, because, I mean, she threw her through a glass window that no ordinary person should be able to get thrown through. She was standing in glass. Like, she was not very nice to Val. And it's like, she's not the person you're trying to attack. It's everybody else in the hospital at this point.
Yeah, you know, I didn't really think of it that way. I just thought of, like, she's trying to get in her. You know, this is her trying to possess her. And in order for her to do that, it was kind of like, I have to break her down, you know? Maybe I have to stab her so that she's weaker so I can possess her, you know,
through easier from now on.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm making excuses for things that don't make sense, but
and also, like, the fact that it never happened until she went into the hospital too was a little strange. Like, I get why she used her because she's been through it before, but has nobody else, like, ever up until that moment been through that she could have possessed? So I don't know.
And we don't know when it happened to Gail.
We didn't. That's what another thing I was gonna say. We don't really know, like, when timeline wise this happened, like how many years back it went or what. But and then we find out that, and this was kind of a bummer to me, to be honest, because I liked this guy. That it was the doctor. That was the one. He was like the twist at the end of this movie. Yeah. He was the one that actually did it. And it's like, all right. Well, I can, like, him being like the nicest person in the entire movie, I can kind of see why they would choose him. But it was just kind of a bummer. It was like the one nice person to her. Right. Was the one that's like the main, like, villain in this. Well, not main, but, you know, the people covering up also were pretty much to blame as well. But so it's like we were saying, it's a much deeper movie than just a ghost story. The power also meaning that the power to cover up what happened, the double entendre of this, which I thought was really cool. I after watching this movie, I was like, wait, the power. Oh wow, okay, that's a really cool. Like, it's such a basic name, basic plot, like basic title for this movie.
Yeah.
But it has multiple meanings, and I think that's awesome.
And he even says it like, I have the power.
Yeah,
you know,
he did.
the doctor, when she's trying to kind of get away from him and confront him about everything.
Yeah.
So that, I kind of caught on to it right there. Like, oh, okay. And, you know, I think it's a reference to, like, you know, this is why I say the 70s was kind of needed, is because, you know, back then
world,
it was, way more of a man's world. And, you know, this hospital was no exception. The men were the doctors. They were the ones calling all the shots. The nurses, I mean, at the very beginning, the like lead nurse tells her, don't question anything the doctors say. Don't, you know, follow all orders. And, you know, it was almost like you're not even supposed to talk to the doctors. You know, that's kind of how she made it sound. And so
I didn't like her at first, but she definitely grew on me towards the end.
Yeah. And right, that's what she was. And it's at times they're, you know, she's kind of going crazy, Val, the main character, and then they're telling her, like, you're the problem, you're the you know, you're the issue or whatever. And, you know, it's like that victim blaming. I think that's what they were trying to get across there with all those scenes. So
definitely.
So yeah, it had a good amount going for it. On top of being just a good horror movie, it also had some layers to it and a good twist. And I liked the you know, so I'm still kind of trying to get it. So there was like the black stuff coming from the vents, and so I'm wondering if that's from, like, because apparently they burned her body in the Gale in the furnace, and so is that like her ashes or something, or
I guess okay. And that's what Saba was like you know, drawing basically. And so when she was like erasing part of it at the end there, when she figured out who actually was, I want to know what I'm assuming that she was just like drawing the black over everything that was already drawn on. So, and the fact that's kind of a pretty cool coincidence that the one part that she erases is like his face. It's like a stick figure, but like a very detailed stick figure of, like, you know exactly who that is.
Right. Yeah, I had the glasses and everything.
But
and I think that, you know, shows she's trying to cover it up. Right. She's probably been told, like, no, you're wrong. This is no, you're lying. So she's making sure to cover it up with all that black, the drawings. And with the whole erasing thing, you know, sometimes you have to just accept movies because of what they're trying to come across.
And it wasn't a big deal to me. It was just like, oh, okay, well, that's okay.
Well, I thought it was weird.
I mean, to move the plot forward.
What I found to be funny was not necessarily that she erased in the exact spot she needed to, but that she erased but was still able to see the picture
very clearly.
Like, if you're erasing, you're erasing. It's not like you're erasing like layer by layer.
A layer.
You're
it's
like, and that was peeling it off or something.
And that was a thick layer too. Like that was a lot of like black that she had to like erase. Like she had to really take her time and erase like pretty deep into that paper to get that.
So, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. Like, I peeled back the layers and saw what was really under this. That's not really how
that's not
pencils
how it works.
And paper work.
No. It was, yeah, like I was saying, it's a plot device to move it forward for sure. I mean, they could have made it a little bit longer and kind of like drawn that part out a little bit more to make more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would have been able to do that, but
Yeah.
Do something. It was like an hour and a half long. Like you could have like taken your time a little bit more with some stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah.
for the most part, it was
It's a revenge story.
It is.
Yeah. Dirty Gale.
Yeah.
Coming back. Okay, so a negative that I didn't mention was how like they defeated the doctor was by like screaming at him.
Yeah, it was like all the girls that were, I guess, raped by him, because there was more than just Gail and Saba. There was like another girl too that like showed up. I'm like, who are you? Like, where did you come from?
Yeah.
But for that scene, I guess they were just like showing, and yeah, that part was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, like they could have handled that a bit differently, but
I wanted them to just like tear him apart, you know. I wanted to see some violence in that scene. But yeah, and you know, I think that's also like, you know, my voice will be heard, you know, like, so that's why they're screaming, you know. And that took him down. And then at the very end, the like head of the hospital gets screamed at.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it ends.
And it's off camera, which is kind of lame, but
yeah. Yeah. So
yeah, glad they were able to get everybody though.
Yeah.
Like they said that there was only 2 that died, but I could have sworn like everybody in the hospital was like dead. Comfort was able to escape. She like broke her leg or whatever. She's probably not going to be a nurse after this.
Yeah.
For a while, but like there was Babs that died. She was part of the cover up. There was Nev died. I thought there were more than that, but I guess.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I guess it was only those 2.
Yeah. Another part that added to the creepiness of the atmosphere was when they were, you know, in the ICU or whatever, all the like patients there laying there and like just the breathing that you could hear throughout the the scenes was that added to it. And I thought maybe those patients were gonna like sit up and, you know, do something. That would have been a little more cliche, but
it was better that you just heard them breathing the entire time, because they're patients. Like, why would they all of a sudden just be sitting up? It doesn't make any sense.
So yeah, I thought that added.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah, the atmosphere was everything in this movie.
Definitely.
You needed that in order for this movie to even work at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you want to add anything, I think we pretty much went through the spoiler part of it.
Yeah.
I want to know what Saba was saying when she was in the hospital bed.
Oh yeah.
When she was interrupted.
Yeah, because she spoke
I want to know what you were saying.
She spoke a different language and there was no subtitle for it.
Yeah.
So she was saying something to one of the newer doctors. Yeah. And he was like, shut up, you know. You can't say that.
Yeah, I'm new here. I don't want to get in trouble. Like, well, no, I want to hear what you're saying.
Right.
I want to know.
Yeah.
But it makes it more creepy that we don't know, actually. Unless you speak that language. Like, you know, it adds a layer of mystery to it. That maybe all of this, you know, she got her revenge, but it's not done.
Right.
There's always going to be cover-ups and all that. So
yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think we covered it all. Definitely, you know, if you're still listening and you haven't seen it, then go watch it. Even though we just ruined the whole movie.
Don't really need to anymore, but
it's still a good experience, for sure. So
yeah, for sure it is. It's like I said, I'm calling it. It's gonna at least be an honorable mention in my top 10 of 2021.
All right,
I have a feeling.
Well, yeah, I mean, top 10. There's, there's still a lot of movies coming out, but yeah, I could see it being up there for me.
I mean, if you said, you said that there's going to be a bunch of Shudder movies coming out this month alone.
Right.
Plus, everything from last year that wasn't released, plus this year that wasn't released.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot
to
cover. So
right. Yeah, I'm going to have to go back toward the end of the year and really look at, how many movies there's been and try to formulate a list. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Just start writing them out now. From the movies that we've done, that we've seen, that have been released this year.
All right. Well, I guess that's it. Go ahead and find us on Facebook at Scare Talk Podcast. We're on Instagram now. At Scare Talk is our handle there. We are also on Twitter at Scare Talk Pod. And this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let dirty Gale bite.